Hey, it's Dr. Lloyd-Moffett. Hey, and this is the outdoor shower built into a tree outside the box. But we're here to talk about what to do to rid yourself of attachment to others. Let's look at this again. Remember, the problem for our ascetics today is the lingering attachment to the world. This can be being addicted to praise or the opinion of others, and even more so narcissistic tendencies. And the idea here is, what can we do? Well, the first part of the solution is to rid others of the power of their judgments by demonstrating that they are unreliable. Ridding others of the power of their judgments by demonstrating they're unreliable. Let me talk about this a little bit more because it can be a little tricky. The idea here is that we are extremely attached to the opinions of others. That's what the ascetics hold. And underlying that is a belief that the opinions of others is genuine. But the ascetics will argue that the opinions of others are often not great indicators about you. Let me tell you a few stories where I came to realize this. One time when I was living at the monastery in Jerusalem, we were all sitting around talking with the abbot, and there was some bishop visiting or something like that. And the abbot says to me, "Steve, can you get me a small glass of water?" So I went into the kitchen and dutifully got him a water, and I wanted water too. And there were only two cups left. One was small, one was large. And I filled them both up. I meant to give the large one to the abbot. After all, he's the abbot. But somehow I wasn't thinking. And when I got back to the conversation, I gave the abbot the small glass and took the big one for myself. And I was like, "Oh, oops." But then I heard the abbot speaking really, really fast in Greek. And I heard, Stefano, Stefano, Stefano. So I knew he was talking about me, but he was speaking too fast. I couldn't understand him. And then the abbot left. And I asked one of the monks who spoke English really well, I said, "What was he talking about me? What was he saying?" He said, this monk said, he said that you were the best monk. I was like, "Why? I'm not even a monk." And he said, "Because when he asked for a small glass of water, you didn't think, oh, I'll give him the big glass of water. You just did what he said. You showed perfect obedience." And I wanted to be like, I kind of just messed up. I forgot somehow along the way. That's me being like scatterbrained, not being a good monk. But I realized too that so many of our opinions of others are actually not based on accurate ideas. We ascribe false motives for people all the time. We don't often have proper insight. I mean, sometimes you're at a party and, somebody is flirting with you or something. You're like, "Ooh, I'm looking good today." But in reality, I mean, there's so many other explanations. Could be that their ex is on the other side of the room and they want to be seen as, having interest in another. It could be that they are just really going to be with anyone at the moment. The pandemic was a long break and really they'd be with any warm body then. I mean, there's so many other explanations for why they might be into you. Maybe nothing that you did at all. And I realize this too is, I speak maybe 50 times in the community for different organizations, churches and synagogues and public community groups. And I used to be like, I'd give a talk and there'd be very few people there. And I'd be like, "Oh man, they don't like me." But what if, or, sometimes there'd be a lot and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm pretty good." But what I realize is attendance is often not a statement about me. The world doesn't center around me. It may be that the finale of Game of Thrones was that night, or it may be that it was just cold, or it may be that the organizers didn't advertise well. And when there are a lot of people there, it often is not about me. It's often because the organizers really did a good job advertising the event, or it may be that something happened in the world that my talk was somehow interesting to them. Most of the time, it really isn't about me. And likewise, sometimes I'll give a talk that I think is great, and I'll be like, "Why isn't everybody telling me how great that talk was? Because that talk was great." And then I'll give a talk that I think sucks, and everybody will come up and be like, "Oh, that was such a great talk. It was so meaningful. It just changed my life." And I'm like, "Really?" Because that one kind of sucked. But what I realize is often, again, it's not about me. Sometimes you give a talk that's kind of a crappy talk, but it touches somebody because it's a question that they happen to be asking then. Or sometimes you give a great talk and really their mind's somewhere else in the audience because of other things going on. And so what I've come to realize when I'm giving a talk is whether people like it or not, it's usually not about me. And this is what the ascetics want us to say. We tend to think so often that people are thinking about us or thinking or caring about us, or the reason why they were looked at me is they're mad at me. Reality, most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, there's stuff we don't even know what's going on. One of my favorite quotes is, everybody is fighting a battle that we know nothing about. Be kind. In that first clause, everybody's fighting a battle. So many times, you're like, wow, why is that person so rude to me? And you think it must be, oh, they don't like me and they're trying to say something. But no, most of the time it's like, hey, look, they're not feeling well, or they had lack of sleep, or there's drama in their life somewhere. Usually people's responses are not about you. And so what this ascetic method is to begin with the recognition that other people's opinions of you usually are not in reality. And so why do I care so much about what they say? And so the techniques we're going to look at are about trying to internalize the reality that most people's opinions of you really don't matter, and that most people's opinions of you are grounded in realities that are far from true. And most people's opinions of you really are much more about other parts of life in the world than you. But we don't think that. We think, oh my God, they're thinking about me. It's all about me. He's judging me or he's not judging me. And so we need to come up with ascetic techniques to retrain our mind to not care about what other people think of me. That's the motivation here.